I think we should go to that. Pepe, cue it up, buddy. Aha, yes, this is the real problem of what I like to call erectile dysfunction. People would say this isn't a problem. People would generally say this is how it's played anyway, DG. But there's a huge community out there of people that love the game, that love to have player interaction. Yeah, like Erad says, nah, it's not a big deal. But he's really biased because he really loves Elite Dangerous right now, and for good reason. You can walk around. I totally understand, man. Been waiting to walk around forever. He loves what's going on with the stations. He loves what's going on in the ground game. And in Erad's defense, hey, okay, but he enjoys it. We're downplaying it. He's trying to cover all his bases as a content creator. All right, he enjoys it. He doesn't love it. He could never say that he loves it because then he would expose himself to too much hate. So he enjoys it. But we get what he's trying to say. There is an aspect of the gameplay that Erad really likes. And in his defense, he's absolutely right. When he DMs me and he talks about, hey, DG, have you even played it? Have you even played it? Well, yeah, a long time ago, but I haven't come back to it for a very long time. So what right do I have to say about anything? Well, because I'm me. And I'm allowed to have opinions. He's right, though. I need to jump in. I need to take the bull by the horns and test it out and see what I think. He actually is having a good time with it. Good for him. I'm not trying to rain on people's parades. God only knows, as somebody that loves Star Citizen, how many times people try and rain on people's parade and say, oh, you're having fun? You're having fun with this? Let me tell you all the fucking reasons why it's not fun. God, I really don't like those people. I really like, if you're having a good time with Elite Dangerous, have a good time. I'm just a commentator right now. I'm just talking about my feelings right now. This is all opinion based. Don't listen to me if you don't want. But to me, boom. This is a problem. I think there's a reason why Obsidian Ant was asking this question as well. There's a very big disconnect, as you can see here. I mean, how do you play Elite Dangerous? On my own as a single player? 83%. 83% of people don't want player interaction. This is a fairly accurate reading. This is 21,000 people. Obsidian Ant has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Our polls, we get a couple hundred people. The sample's relatively small. Still nice guide or gauge. But when you have a sample size, it's 21,000 people. I think at any given point in time in Elite Dangerous, what is there, a 30,000 player rate base going on somewhere thereabouts? If you look up the Steam statistics, I'm not quite sure exactly what the player count is at any given point in time, but I think it's around the 20 to 30,000 people online at any time. Chrono says, DG, help me understand. If people want to play alone, why is there a need for an online gameplay? That's a really good question, man. I don't think that it's being played in any other kind of version than in a solo mode. I think there's a lot of people that don't want to deal with other people in the game. It's sad, really, to me. Again, my opinion, where you have a game that could be very interactive, very player interactive. To me, I like the immersive feeling of knowing that there are other players around me. I like that feeling, but there's a lot of people in Elite Dangerous that don't. There's a lot of people in Elite Dangerous that want to be left alone in the void of space and just look at planets, do PvE grind. There are a lot of PvE grinders, and this tells you a lot of the reasons why FDev, Frontier Development, focuses a lot on that aspect of gameplay. That is their market. Erad says, okay, to be fair, it's hard to talk to other players in ED. You need to press a lot of keys, and you don't have a global chat like in SC. Also, the tools. Right, the tools. Again, kind of backing up my statement about how Frontier Development really is kind of I think designing this game more for people who like to play on their own as single players. But again, when I see a poll like this that Obsidian Ant takes, this to me is a problem because I am the type of person that likes player interaction. I am the type of person. This probably speaks volumes as to why I call Elite Dangerous erectile dysfunction. This probably speaks to volumes as why a long time ago I was trying to, years ago I saw this problem. Years ago, to me, a problem. To many, obviously not a problem. To me, a problem. This is why I probably made that series that was trying to help you find other people in the vast hugeness of the Elite Dangerous verse, the billion star systems. This is probably why I did that for those people, and it was very popular series. I think a lot of times, maybe this is why Odyssey was not received very well, as they were trying to be a little bit more they were trying to put the design to the point where maybe they were trying to have a little bit more player interaction. Maybe that's one of the goals of Odyssey, was to make this a little bit more player interactive. I don't know. I haven't played Odyssey yet. But then I saw this and I was like, okay, I really want to get to kind of the bottom of this. And then I saw Obsidian Ant post a video. And it was really interesting because I think that Obsidian Ant is like the board gamer of the Elite Dangerous world. And I only say that because he has a huge following and he also has a British accent as well. And apparently people love British accents. Your IQ is raised by at least 30 points from your base if you talk like this and you seductively fuck people's ears and their brains. So when you talk like that and you have that dialect, it's very sexy. And what I can do with this voice is I can make you smash that like button as I sip on my tea. Now, let's watch and let's see why Obsidian Ant says what went wrong with Odyssey. Me, very curious.
It's no secret that the release of Elite Dangerous Odyssey has been somewhat of a disaster. From constant server problems to major performance issues, from seemingly unending bugs to broken planet tech. There's a lot that went wrong, and, well, plenty to
There's a lot that went wrong.
Make up for. Now, before we get into Frontier's response to all of this, I briefly want to reiterate my thoughts on this situation. Firstly, all big online game releases come with problems. That much is given. A certain number of issues and bugs can be forgiven. However, as I said in a previous video, I'm extremely disappointed in Frontier that they released Odyssey in this condition.
I'm extremely disappointed that they released Odyssey in this condition. Like, have you seen the evolution of Obsidian Ant's voice, man? I love it. Man, he's getting professional. Man, he is getting professional, isn't he?
On many levels, it feels like a beta, and I believe Odyssey should have been delayed or released as a beta and priced accordingly. After all, they did go from alpha directly to release. Many people feel that all of these problems are down to development mistakes, whilst others, me included, believe Odyssey was rushed to the market in order to hit a deadline. Frontier's financial year ends in June, and delaying Odyssey beyond that point would have affected Frontier's 2021 profits. But whatever the ultimate reason Odyssey arrived in this very disappointing condition, we will likely never know. But do keep in mind a number of things. Firstly, during alpha, many of these problems were brought up by the player base and pointed out to Frontier. Frontier replied that not to worry, they have an internal build that is much better further along and doesn't have any of the issues that were pointed out. I can only assume that the released version of Odyssey is indeed that version that Frontier discussed previously, but that it didn't survive first contact with the player base thanks to being untested. So, where do things stand now? Well, Frontier have released 2 statements today, giving some insight as to what's going on. One of these statements is from David Braben and addresses the server and performance issues. The server issues have
Server. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of the British accent. I'm just making fun of Obsidian Ants right now.
Resulted in a lot of disconnects and other problems. It turns out that these problems have been caused by fleet carriers. In short, Odyssey
What's
and
up,
Horizons
Jericho?
exist.
How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the fam, bro. Fam Love Quest. We all welcome you in. Welcome, one of us.
As two completely separate game worlds on separate servers. Data such as market information, background simulation and more
Doing good, bro.
is shared across both worlds. Fleet carriers are another asset that exist in both worlds, and this is where the problem came in. When fleet carriers jump, this jump would take place on both the Horizons and Odyssey game worlds. However, this resulted in a feedback loop of the data, with the carrier data moving between the two.
Yeah, I knew this was an issue. I said it 3 weeks ago. I fucking said it. The separation between, I talked with Erad about this as well. The separation between Horizon players and Odyssey players in the PC. And how they're trying to make this a whole, it's a fucking mess what they're doing right now. It's absolutely a fucking mess.
Two servers.
Obviously, it's something you need to care about, Erad. If they're having issues right now, did you just hear what he said?
This resulted in an overload and many other problems. Of course, this alone wasn't the only problem, but it was the main one. Beyond that, the high player numbers also had a massive impact on server performance.
I don't know if it's that temporary. Man. I mean, we've seen this in the past, where they say everything's going to be cool and it's not necessarily cool, man.
Talking of the performance, we all know this is a huge deal for Odyssey. It's affecting the different players in different ways. Some people with low-end hardware have flawless performance, whilst others with very high-end hardware are having...
I mean, I'm not the only one that doesn't like this expansion, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of people on Steam, the reviews, like, the people are fucking pissed off. There's so many performance issues. There's a downgrade in visual appearance. There's a lot of people that are very upset with Odyssey. I think they have a right to be.
Lots of trouble. Vice versa, of course, is also true. As yet, Frontier say they haven't been able to identify what is causing these problems. However, they are working on them. Yet it seems this is something that is going to take quite a while to fix. More on that in just a moment. The third issue that many people have is the problems with the UI. For Odyssey, the UI throughout the game has been redesigned. However, feedback for this is largely negative. Information has been moved or obscured both on the galaxy map and ship outfitting.
Really?
Menus take longer to navigate and are now less intuitive. There are many other issues besides. The UI then is something that Frontier say they are keen to...
There's issues with UI? There's issues with the map?
...fix. The second of the two statements then from Frontier specifically focuses on the UI and states that Frontier are wanting to fix many problems here.
Yeah, I didn't think there was, Erad. I haven't heard anybody complaining about the UI on ED. Huh. I wonder if people are having UI issues with the map.
Finally, Frontier will be releasing a roadmap by the 4th of June that will detail...
Oh, they're getting into the roadmap biz. Be careful, Frontier Development. Be careful, you're getting into that roadmap biz, man. Post it in our Discord, Warped, and we'll go over it on the next one.
How Frontier will be dealing with the various problems. The fact that the roadmap itself may be up to 10 days away shows that Frontier are viewing this situation with Odyssey as a relatively long-term problem. The console release for Odyssey has not been mentioned by Frontier as a part of all of this. However, many people, myself included, are speculating that Odyssey will remain in a state of bug fixing and optimization right up to the release of console version and likely beyond. That is a multi-month path then, and possibly as much as 6 months. Unfortunately, as yet, there's been no official word on the current state of the new planetary tech, which to all intents...
I mean, it's game development, right? They're going to continue to work on it until they get all this shit ironed out. But right now, you know, there's a lot of people upset about it. But yeah, I mean, like in the long view, you know, like they'd be stupid not to. They'd be stupid not to. But I think we looked this up one time, Erad, where we were talking about the total revenue brought in, and Elite Dangerous wasn't at the top for Frontier Development. What was it? Was it Jurassic Park or was it the coaster one? I should look up that information again. I don't remember exactly what their biggest breadwinner is, but it was not Elite Dangerous like I thought that it was.
Some purposes seems to be broken in multiple ways. A great video by Black Maze highlights many of the issues. Meanwhile, a Reddit post detailing many of the graphics performance problems in Odyssey that goes into analysing this situation. It's a great report. Do have a look at that. Elsewhere, a detailed forum post bullet points to a multitude of problems with the new UI. All of these links on all of these threads can be found in the video description. One more thing that I haven't seen mentioned too much is the poor NPC AI that can be found in conflict zones and elsewhere.
Now that's really interesting because Erad was saying that it was very good. Weren't you, Erad, saying that the AI in the conflict zones and the bases on ground were very good? Weren't you saying that it was perfected? Yeah. Well, that was interesting to hear that here. Let's go back and hear what Obsidian Ant, the professional, says.
AI that can be found in conflict zones and haven't seen mentioned too much is the poor NPC AI that can be found in conflict zones and elsewhere. I'll be talking about more on this in the future. For now then, Odyssey remains in a very poor way, largely thanks to being released too early.
You know, man, I wonder how much he's actually playing the game. You know, like Erad's down on the ground and he's like, hey, I trust Erad's opinion. Like, listen, if Erad's down on the ground and he's saying the AI is good, I'm going to listen to Erad. You know, it's kind of interesting that the guy who's the professional, the guy who says he's the professional is not talking about his personal play. You know what I mean, dude?
And this really is a point that's worth keeping in mind. None of the statements released by Frontier so far even go anywhere near talking about the release date of Odyssey or even suggesting that it was potentially released too early. Instead, Frontier seem very keen to keep the finger pointed at technical and coding issues, all of which of course can be overcome with time, but time really is the issue here, isn't it? If Odyssey had been released a little bit later, maybe even had a full beta process, then most of these troubles could have been avoided. Unfortunately then, Frontier find themselves in the position where the development team are having to work extremely hard to fix all of these problems that are not really any fault of their own. After all, the release date is not something that's decided by developers.
Yeah, and as you can see here with a lot of his footage, he flies around and he's an explorer, which is really a lot of the people that play Elite Dangerous. Again, you have 83% of people flying around, looking at planets, exploring the 1 billion star systems, not worrying a fuck about any other players, and they're just exploring away. Some people not even worried about the conflict FPS zones, man. Some people not even giving a shit about that. Most people probably not giving a shit about that. Probably why you see most of the negative reactions from the newest patch. And because 83% of people are just happy with flying around, looking at all the 1 billion soulless, void-filled star systems, and that's it. Like, that is, like, to me, that is a huge problem. Like, that to me, I can't wrap my head around that. If people like to play it that way, God bless them. Hey, God bless you. That is your way to play it. This was the problem for me. This is why I have a problem with erectile dysfunction. This is why I have a problem with ED, with Elite Dangerous. This is it. And you know what? This is probably why I haven't played it in a very, very long time. Back to the show. And that's probably why I prefer, Star Citizen. I mean, like, really, yeah. Yes, action. Right, Erad. Right. I mean, like, fundamentally, the people that are playing the game, right? The community that are supporting the games that we play. That is really what is the crux of the issue on a lot of these different types of games that we play. It's the community that backs it. It's like what the people that are playing it really kind of like guide the game design. They guide the game development, and you can see that. You can see that, which is why I call it Elite Dangerous. All elite and no dangerous. So, man, what a revelation this is. What a great morning this is to be here with you guys and come to this realization finally after 6 years. After 6 long years of being involved with Elite Dangerous and wondering why I was having issues with it, I think this morning has the culmination of all these years has led me to an answer. The resolution is here today. That, in fact, Elite Dangerous, I was right all those years ago. Elite Dangerous is all elite, no dangerous. I feel great. I feel overwhelmed and overjoyed. Fart. Right. Let's Pepe, if we can tone it down a little bit. Let's get back to the gaming room area and just woo. Okay, I gotta stretch out here. Are you guys drinking your coffee? You guys having this is a great, I have to share this. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, Erad sent me a DM with a picture that is shown right here, which is fantastic. It was a picture done on Reddit by an Elite Dangerous member. And he was talking about, I really wish I could zoom up on this one. I don't even think you guys can see this shit. But over here, you see where my arrow is there is a weird rock formation that looks like a penis. And it's like in the bottom right. And the funniest thing about this picture that Erad sent to me, he sends it to me with the notation, and he says, "See, there's no erectile dysfunction." I heard his voice and everything, and I just started laughing so hard. I was on my laptop, dude. I was cracking up. I was almost crying. And Christy's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And she walked over, and she literally looked at the picture. It was on my screen, right? And she goes, "Why is there a penis in that game?" And I fucking started to bust up even louder. And I told her like the whole history and how I call ED erectile dysfunction and how you found this picture here. But the funniest thing about this picture is that the guy who's taking this picture in Elite Dangerous is not even noticing the rock to the right. He's talking about the wonderful eclipse. He's basking in the glow of the eclipse, right? And he's completely oblivious to the penis rock to the right. And that's what got me, dude. That one got me so hard, dude.